The YouTube gaming community. I see a lot of you think that there's a problem with this community. If you believe there is, my response to that is, well, not really. At first, I was just going to sit here and whine about why I thought this community turned out the way it did, but that would have just been me sitting here bitching, and that would have gotten boring pretty quickly. So I'm going to tell you guys where I think the real problem lies in this community. But I'm going to do it my way. So let's begin. Let me start off by saying that I think the first mistake made by quite a few people is thinking of this as one community. I actually think of what we have here as two communities, a gaming community and a troll community, and I don't think I have to explain to you what each one of these represents. Now, while I see this as two communities, I'm mostly going to be talking about this one, because this seems to be where most of the problems lie, and it also seems to be a place that people don't really understand. I always saw this community as an informative community and this community as more of an entertaining community. This community to me wasn't meant to be taken serious, but instead just something to watch and get a good laugh at. And some people are part of this community and may not even realize it. So why did I break up our community into two separate communities, with one being trolling and the other being serious, when both communities have trolls in it? Why is it that when trolls become active in this community it has no effect, while in this community a good topic that can be discussed in a more mature way will always end up being drama in some way, shape, or form? Well, simple answer, this is why. You guys may disagree with me, but the whole reason why I believe this community is run by trolls is because I also believe this community was actually created by trolls. And I believe that while a lot of people played a major part in how this community turned out the way it did, these two played the biggest roles. And what gave them their roles were their titles here on YouTube. The title of leader. What also made this community the way it was that the two people that had the title of leader lacked the most important thing that a leader needed to lead their groups: knowledge about what they were actually leading. I'll explain. When I first started watching these videos here on YouTube, I made the mistake of taking them serious. And when I took them serious, their videos for me brought up more questions than answers. I couldn't understand why General MLD was so fascinated in sales of games and nothing more. And El Presador, I really couldn't figure him out at all. But what really confused me about these two was how in the hell did they manage to become leaders of gaming groups when it seemed like their knowledge of gaming itself was almost non-existent? Out of both of these guys, the one I started to question first was him. This guy was one of the funniest and most entertaining people I saw on YouTube, but when I found out that he was the leader of a gaming group, I wondered how he managed to pull it off. It was quite obvious that his knowledge of gaming just wasn't there. It was also starting to become obvious to me that this guy was just playing around. He didn't really care all that much about gaming, if at all. He seemed to just be having more fun just making fun of people. Then there was this guy. I noticed that he would always bring up the same topic every time. He would either mention sales or who had more single, double, and AAA exclusive games. But just like El Presador, his gaming knowledge almost seemed non-existent. That's when I started to question how in the hell did two guys who hardly knew anything about gaming manage to lead a group of people based on video games. Both of these guys were good at pissing people off. One would do it by making fun of people, and the other would do it by repeating the same words over and over again. And I knew I couldn't be the only person who noticed this. It started to become quite obvious to me that these two guys were playing around, but what I found even more strange was that in the groups that they were leading were people who were real serious about these topics. That's when I started to ask myself, how in the hell did people who were serious about gaming manage to be fooled by two guys who were obviously joking around? People didn't watch El Presador and General MLD because they offered any kind of useful gaming knowledge to the community. They watched them because they pissed off the opposite fan base. People seem to feel that in order to truly be a fan of their console or a real gamer, they had to be part of an online group. I won't say that's a bad thing, however they all chose to join groups that seem to be jokes started by people that were never serious about gaming to begin with. So these serious people ended up joining an organization created by trolls, and they never once figured this out? This is when I began to notice that there were two separate communities going on at the same time. This community wasn't a gaming community, it was more of a battlefield, with two generals or king trolls and a bunch of soldiers fighting their battles. In the groups were two types of soldiers, trolls and people who were serious. Both of these groups seemed to just go with the flow. Whatever the leader said, they would say. If El Presador said the PS3 was the best console because Xbox had Red Ring of Death, then the members of the Trey Brotherhood would say this as well. If General MLD said Xbox 360 was best because it sold more than the PS3, then the members of the Xbox Republic would say the same thing. A lot of the intelligent people in these groups came off as stupid because they were simply quoting what their leader said, and their leaders were trolls with little to no gaming knowledge. So from my perspective, it looked like serious people were joining in a community to talk about an issue that no one took serious because this community seemed to be based more on jokes. Trolling seemed to be what was truly feeding this community from the very beginning. The battle back then didn't even really look like Xbox 360 versus PS3. It looked more like Xbox Republic versus the Trade Brotherhood, with the consoles being the weapons of choice. No one gave a damn about Sony or Microsoft. It was a battle of who could talk the most shit. And let's all admit it, it was entertaining as hell, wasn't it? I'll admit to you all right now, I wasn't stupid enough to get myself involved with it, but that didn't mean that I didn't find it fun to watch. And what made it so fun was that I was starting to understand what this community was really all about. I stopped taking it serious and started taking it for what it was. One giant battle of trash talking, a community run by trolls with the serious people stuck in the middle of the wrong community. So my question to you guys is this: can any of you explain how two guys who knew nothing about gaming managed to lead a group of gamers and none of the gamers in said group question it? The only answer I can think of is that everyone who became part of the Trade Brotherhood or Xbox Republic was also joking, but we all know that isn't true. Some were joking, yeah, but others were very serious, maybe even too serious. Most of you remember the drama that took place between El Presador and Truth. I also found this odd at first because both of these guys were part of the same team. But they both had two different agendas. While both guys were playing for the same team, they were both playing two different games. Truth seemed to be very serious and El Presador seemed to be anything but. So over time it started to make perfect sense to me why, despite both of them liking the PS3, they didn't get along. People now think that the community has changed, but what's really changed? People always attacked on a personal level. Hell, that's mostly what El Presador did. I think what makes it seem different is because it's being done a lot more, and I have a guess why. I think it's because when it comes to this community, we've heard it all. We know about the Red Ring of Death, we know about pay to play, we know about the Wii not having HD and people not liking motion controls, we know about a lot of Sony's exclusives not selling too well and them still getting multiplats that aren't as good as they are on Xbox, and because of this, people are starting to really just not care anymore. If someone makes a vid about why they don't like a console, we all know exactly what they're gonna say. So what's the next step? Attack people. That is, after all, how a community created by trolls works. All a lot of people care about in this circle is who can piss off who. Different people just have different ways of going about it. And since the same material that was used before doesn't have as strong of an effect as personal attacks do, guess what people are going to use? The only real difference I see between the drama back then and the drama now is that the Wii is now involved. Out of all the fan bases, it seems that now the Nintendo fan base is the most active. When I first started watching El Presador and MLD, I noticed that the Nintendo Wii wasn't really talked about that much. The whole battle was Sony fans versus Microsoft fans. The one Nintendo fan I noticed first was Shokio, and I thought he was leading the Nintendo group in the battle, but the more I watched him, the more it looks like he was actually just trying to get the Wii noticed. Remember, during this time, the Wii in a way wasn't even part of the battle. No one really brought it up in the fight because, well, no one from the Trade Brotherhood or Xbox Republic really cared. This battle was between 360 and PS3. Now, however, the Wii seems to have worked its way into the battle, but the only problem now is the battle's kind of over. Yeah, you'll still get a troll comment here and there, the Wii lacks HD or the Wii is for kids or whatever, but there's no real fight going on with it like the PS3 and Xbox 360 had. If you're going to be part of a community that was built on trolls and drama, then sadly you're going to need trolls and drama to keep it going. That's why two of the most entertaining things that's happened that involved gaming was Baron vs General G and Baron vs 7th Level, but once that died out, everything seemed to go back to boring again. I don't believe so much that this gaming circle we have is just now becoming screwed up. I believe it was screwed up from the very beginning, but it just wasn't as noticeable because everybody was just having way too much fun to even notice it. So for those of you that wonder why people only care about drama and seem not that interested in serious topics, my answer to that is because you are in a community that was created by trolls and feeds off of drama. And when you're in a community like that, drama is going to be seen by the majority of the audience as entertainment, like it has been for the past few years, while serious issues will be seen as boring. Majority of the people in this community could care less about gaming news or gameplay videos, but drama, that's the good stuff. Hell, most of you notice MLD is back, and he's saying the exact same thing he's always said, and somehow people are still getting upset. The guy's not even really trying anymore. I actually believe that he could turn on his camera, say PS3 sucks, turn the camera off and upload that, and sit back and watch the uproar in this community. Because I will say again, this community feeds on drama, which is why every time a little bit of drama happens, almost everyone in this community runs to it. This community needs drama to survive. You remove the drama, the community becomes stale. To stop the trolling, one would have to enter this community. While being a part of this community, one would also have to ignore the trolls, like the other people in this community do. But that's a problem, isn't it? How many of you really want to leave this community? A lot of you have been here for a long time. To just up and leave it would be hard to do. A lot of people have made a name for themselves here, not here. To go here would mean having to start all over again, and not many people are willing to do that. They want to be taken serious here. But sadly, we'll always resort to going back to doing what's been feeding this community since the very beginning. Sorry guys, but you can't take a community that was started as a joke and turn it serious. Sadly, this gaming circle we have needs three things to survive. It needs trolls, fanboys, and gamers. If you lose one, the whole community breaks down. Drama can only happen through the actions of two types of people in this community, trolls and fanboys. Trolls create the best drama by pissing off the fanboys, and fanboys create the best drama by pissing off the gamers. Gamers give the circle a false impression to those who may not really know what this circle is really all about. Gamers end up bringing in new people into this community. The new people then watch the trolls and fanboys and become one of two things, another fanboy or another troll. They do it either by video or by, as a lot of you say, becoming keyboard warriors. To all of you trolls, fanboys, and gamers in this community, what got more views? Videos about serious topics or videos making fun of a certain person or group of people? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our YouTube gaming community. And you know what? Most of us would probably not want it any other way, would we?